But that really comes down to partnerships. You know, I cannot stress enough. I told you I was not willing to find people that I could work with because I wanted to be in charge. When you find that team, and we spoke about this at Phoebe, is that you have to spend time with them. They're your partner. You're their partner. It is critical to understand, how does this person work?
Mhm.
Do they like to work late at night? And well, I work early in the morning. They work late at night. They work on weekends. I'm not giving up my weekends. What is it that works for you?
I am Christina Suter, and this is the Real Estate Breakthrough Show, where we talk about the reality of real estate, the mindset you need in order to face the reality of what it is, and tips and tricks to get you moving forward in investing. I am your host, Christina Suter. I am excited. Yes, I know I use that word every single time because I am excited every single time because I have Julie Peterson. Do you like to say Julie Anne Peterson?
Well, typically I get introduced as Julie Anne Peterson, but you know what? Everybody just shortens it, so I'm good.
Julie Anne Peterson, as you can tell, she is a cool chick, and I always love interviewing cool chicks because I don't know, maybe I'm conceited, but I think I'm kind of a cool chick. Even my daughter sometimes thinks I'm kind of a cool mom. So maybe, just maybe, I've got a little bit of coolness in my little finger. Maybe that's about as good as it gets. But Julie has it in spades. And I want you guys to get a chance to talk with her. She's lively, she's engaging, and she's knowledgeable and integrous because, as you know, real estate is a beep. I can't say the word. Real estate is a beep if you don't work with people that are high quality on your network. What are the two things you need to succeed? You need a strong education and a strong, reliable network. And so that is why I have Julie here on the show. So I'm going to do my usual stick, guys. For those of you on YouTube and Roku TV, you can see that I am over on Julie's Old Capital Commercial Real Estate Debt and Equity website. The company that currently is, she is the senior director at that company. And I'm going to read a little bit about her, but then we're going to find out even more about her beyond Old Capital. So Julie Peterson serves as a senior director for Old Capital. Mrs. Peterson is responsible for raising both debt and equity capital for commercial real estate projects throughout the nation. With 30 years of real estate transaction experience, Julie Peterson does not just source funds, she consults with her clients to help solve their immediate needs. She works with all types of income producing real estate at all levels of the capital stack. Did you guys hear that? All types of income producing real estate, multi-unit, commercial, industrial, but she also works with multiple levels of the capital stack, which means it doesn't have to be a huge deal and it doesn't have to be a small deal. She's capable of working with you and meeting you where you are. Mrs. Peterson's clients are real estate entrepreneurs who are dependent upon the many relationships they establish, and the relationship with their capital provider is no different. Now, it says here you're a capital provider, and we know, Julie, that is your official brand, but I also know that you have also transitioned into being a syndicator. So let's move on. Julie, tell us about how you got into real estate.
You know, I got started 30 years ago, as it mentioned. By the way, thanks for having me on the show today. I'm just thrilled to be with you. We come from the same cloth, the same energy level. So
same energy
thanks
level.
Again for that.
And you're at Phoebe, Pasadena. So you're at our multi-family for investor, buy investor meeting in Pasadena as well. Thank you for driving up for that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Had a great time. But so 30 years ago, actually it was probably even longer than that. I said to myself, you're not paying a landlord, anybody else, money to live where you want to live. And so I started out buying single family. And, you know, there's always a story around your first or your second or your 30th transaction. And certainly that first one that I got when I was 22 years old has a story.
Okay.
And we can certainly go into that, but
we'll go into that one later. Cool.
Yeah. And then went on to buy another property, and we doubled our money there, and then moved to another location and bought multifamily in Chicago and then in San Diego. So, you know, just absolutely love real estate, absolutely love every part of my journey. But I did so many transactions. I knew exactly what was needed to get these deals done. And I really have a passion for helping others find what is really their superpower and where they want to focus, whether it's on small multifamily, 5, 10, or it's $100 million in commercial real estate. So I just want to help so many people so that their journey continues, their dreams continue to live within themselves.
You know, it's always powerful when you work with a real estate investor who is also a member on your team, whether it's your agent, whether it's your lender, or whether it's a co-investor, whether it's a joint venture, whether it's your advisor. But if they have their own independently owned real estate inside of their portfolio, they identify themselves as an investor, even if it's just 3 properties or 30 properties, but they identify and have had the path of walking as an investor through the blank stuff that happens. Blank is my new word today, but the blank stuff that happens in real estate, because then it's like, yeah, no, we can see some stuff coming down the pike at you.
Yeah.
Like this problem, there's going to be this problem here, or gee, if you want to walk through this escrow and you want to get a little more peace or be more successful through this escrow, let's do this. And that's where you can help people actually achieve better, because you're not just offering capital, you're actually offering experience.
That's right. And I will tell you that there's so many, this can be considered a commodity, what we do in providing lending, right? And so there's a lot of kids, I call them kids because they get out of college and they're like, I'm going to be in an economic and finance, and this is what I'm going to do. But they've never had boots on the ground. They've never had somebody call you up and tell you that they just put concrete into the pipes, or, you know, had to be late or be evicted. I got that on my resume. And I really believe that provides so much history, and something that you can't buy from a college. It's really the experience that I bring to the transaction. So I'm kind of special in that way.
You're special in a lot of ways, Julie, but beyond that, yes, it is one of the specialties, and one of the ways that you rock your particular niche is that you bring that experience. So what is it that got you so deeply involved in truly understanding funding on a deal?
Well, again, I had done so many transactions that I knew exactly what was required, how I would look at a transaction, and I'd say, okay, I know I'm in this certain area, it's a tertiary market, and I could utilize what my knowledge was in order to underwrite. Okay, so on my own private stuff, that was very helpful, right? That knowledge base. And when I got into doing this full time, I really had that base of knowledge. Again, something that you can't necessarily learn a book wise. You really have to be part of a transaction to understand that. So I bring so much difference to a transaction. Old Capital has been around for a long time. And we really want to help people. We educate them. Most importantly, we educate people, because if you want to help somebody do their first or third transaction, what do you bring? You could bring a sponsor to that deal. You could bring investors, because when you get into this, you don't have necessarily all of your partners set up, right? So that's where I and Old Capital really finds a niche to educate through our podcast, our Old Capital podcast, through our conferences. I do a Zoom at 8, which is about networking and learning with specialists, right? And so having that as our part of our brand, that we're educating people, we really start that basis. And now we've got that client for a very long time.
Talk more about the Zoom at 8, because I just love that, because it's literally Zoom, ZOOM, the at sign, and the number 8, Zoom at 8. Right?
Yeah, Zoom at 8 p.m. Eastern, because we're all on different time zones.
Right.
I'm in San Diego. It's at 5 for me, right? So Zoom at 8 started out, I am an advisor on an education program that I saw a need. A lot of these education programs, have an ecosystem whereby you can find a sponsor, you can find investors. And the one that I was working with didn't have that.
No.
So I found a need to be able to bring the people that I knew that could help these new investors. And we first started on Slack. And if you know Slack, you just start in it and you start to lose the messaging. So almost 3 years ago, we started Zoom at 8. It was, when I say we, it was me, started Zoom at 8. And this was really when Zoom came out, and to buy a subscription for Zoom, $150, it was like, now it's like everybody does it, right? And this is really, really helped my brand. It has helped my business. So what we do is we bring in every Tuesday night, actually three weeks out of the month, we bring in a specialist that comes in and speaks about what they do, whether it's as an investor, as a capital raiser, as somebody that's going to talk about automation for your platform, any of those things that new investors want to know but are afraid to ask. And then we network. And so we have closed within this community 10 deals. It's truly amazing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Because like you said, it is your education and your networking are the things that make you successful in real estate. And so you're able to create and gift, because it's kind of a gift, a platform of being able to say, okay, now we get a variety of people that are professionals in the field or experts in the field, people who've been at it for a while, who can support a newer investor or an existing investor, being able to get the information. Like I recently got fascinated with the concept of the family office. And so I literally in my Rolodex, I'm like, I already know 2 people who run family offices. So I like literally within an hour, I was able to start having conversations with people about, well, so tell me again, I've always heard about family offices, but tell me the reality of what it means to run a family office, because they were already in my network. They're people that I had met literally at my Phoebe meeting, like your Zoom at 8, right? People who were there who'd be like, oh yeah, no, I actually got to talk to these guys. I remember them. Right. And then you can actually get the reality of what it means, because there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives to real estate. And you really want to be able to use your network, not just to educate you on the positive and negatives, but to hold your hand through it. Right?
Well, and when you sit down for a coffee or a lunch, it's not, it takes you to a different level, right? Than just picking up the phone. You're in their sphere. But when you sit down with somebody and you spend time with them, getting to know them, you get a little bit closer to having the ability to work together on some level. And it is truly amazing how that works, especially in this community. You can go to other communities, and I've been in other industries where you can sit down, but it's not the same as the real estate industry. This truly, truly is about relationships. And you can go way back and pull up some of those relationships that you had 30 years ago in this community, and you can call upon them. So start yesterday on building your relationships with your lenders, with your investors, with brokers, right? That's really what it needs. You need to start yesterday. Not to be frustrating you, but it really is. Get in, get going.
Get going. So you're a syndicator now. So not only, so you've used this network, right? This 30 years of experience, you're a personal owned portfolio that you've invested in, starting at single families, moving into multi-units, in state, out of state, right? You've worked for Old Capital, so you have a true understanding of what the financing is behind what gets underwritten, what doesn't. Now you've moved on to combining that experience into becoming a syndicator. So tell us about that.
So I would tell you that up until about 8 years ago, so I have 4 kids. So I was very, very busy running my managing and operating my business for multifamily, but they really did need attention. 8 years ago, I came to Old Capital, tried to get back into working full time, taking care of 4 kids. It wasn't the right time. So 5 years ago, came back full time to work on not only my mortgages, but also this opportunity that I had really strived for the 30 years, to be a syndicator, to be a general partner, to leverage my relationships And, I went into this deal that I'm in right now with the idea of I've never really capital raised. So I'm going to pass that off to other people who really can do that. And they struggled. And so, looking back, I found out that I have a great gift of capital raising.
Yeah, I suspect you actually. I'm not surprised at all that you're a big
Oh, thank you.
No, actually, I truly, I should have told you that last time we were talked. Like,
thank you. Thank you. I didn't realize the power that I had, to be honest with you. I didn't know that was my superpower. I knew that, meeting people, but taking the next step of saying, hey, I've got a deal, really want to tell you all the positive things and how it can impact you potentially. I didn't think about it. So this first deal, I've capital raised almost $4 million. And it is, I will definitely be going in this direction for our next several deals. I think, we've got a lot of things that are in the pipeline right now that are exciting. And, whether it's broker relationships, this one came to me as from a broker relationship. And so each one of those people that you meet, wonder, how can I impact them?
Yep.
And maybe how can they impact my business? Each and every person.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's in their mind every time. It is. I mean, when you're networking at a meeting, like, to just be honest about it, like transparent about it. Like when you're in a meeting, I walk up to people in meetings and I go, so, usually it's a real estate meeting. So what do you like about real estate? Or what do you do in real estate? Or what brings you to a real estate meeting? Right? Because I never know what their actual background is. And then they start chit chat, right? Chit chat, which is what I want them to do. I want them to chit chat. And I'm listening for two things. I'm listening for, what is it that they do that might someday help me? And what is it that they're doing that I can help with?
Yeah.
Those are the two things I'm listening for. And I will keep digging until I understand those two things. Right? Because sometimes people are like, oh, well, I'm a blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, really? Tell me more about a blah, 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 blah. Like, what is really in your world? Right? Like, because if I may, like, you absolutely have moved into the field of syndication. You are deeply engaged in the syndication process. And one of the primary things you contributed, unbeknownst to you, was capital raising. That wasn't your original intention.
No.
Right? Your intention. What was your original position in the deal?
Well, originally was to be the financing piece of it, right? And customer relations, right? And so I would have people bring those clients to us, and I would elevate them to understand what we're trying to do, be in contact with them, because I do that well. I know that. I know that about myself through my previous experiences as a salesperson. I can form very deep and good relationships. So that was a great piece for me. I just didn't know how to go out and get it. And come to find out, it came naturally to me.
It comes naturally. I'm not, again, I was, after the Phoebe meeting, you and I sat down together and we got to talk to some people together, which was, for me, super fun. Because normally I'm the one sitting and talking with people, and they bring you their stories, right? Their concerns, their worries, their successes. Like, what's that, like that, like, we hear about all the things that you hear people like, oh yeah, I'm doing X, Y, and Z in the meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, they sit down in front of you and they go, and my X, Y, and Z is blup right now. my X, Y, and Z is great right now. I'm scared to tell people how good it is. Or my X, Y, and Z is so bad right now. I'm scared to tell people how bad it is, right? Hear the truth of what it is that they are seeking, a actual, like, I want to call it like a growing moment. Like, they want to have a something that you can deliver on a very human and personal level that actually helps them move forward financially in their world. And it was fun to talk with you and to sit next to you, because we were having this great conversation with this girl, and she probably knows who she is if she's listening to this, right? And she totally brought forward this earnestness of what she was doing in this deal. And you and I just sat with her, a very human to human, going, yeah. And we offered some advice personally and on a business front. What could she do that would help her move forward personally and financially to being more successful. And it was great to watch you, because like I said, usually it's just me. I'm usually the chick in the room that's doing that.
Yeah, we are very similar in that way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we overwhelmed quite a few people, but hey, that's okay.
We may have overwhelmed the girls we were talking to. They may have left going, oh my God, I'm never talking to those girls again.
No, I think that they really appreciated the humanness, the kindness, the direction, the support really is what it came down to. But, you had asked me about, what is it, not only, getting into syndication and that being in my experience, but I got to tell you, every time I did a renovation project on any of my deals, the love that I felt that I could give to my tenants, a place that they could call their own, that looked so much better than what it looked like before, gave me a tremendous amount of joy. And while that's a value add proposition, and value add can be challenging, it can be risky.
Yes.
And I went through quite a few risks on my own with my own projects. But at the end of the day, to walk away and, you get them set and they make this place a home, and then to come back and to see my property and their stuff in it brought me the greatest joy. So to be able to do that on a larger and higher level, and to see how we're impacting a lot of these communities is really gratifying. And I always wanted that. I just could not leverage myself through those 30 years until I figured it out. You have to have these partners. It is so, so important.
I love that you just said that. I really do. I love that you just said that, because it is a leveraging. And if you try to do it alone, there are people, I guess there are people who do it alone. They drive so hard that they're truly the momentum of the engine by themselves. Yeah. Right. And they hire people to be on the caboose with them, to be on that drive with them. And maybe that's how they do it. I can't. I literally create best and have the highest level of momentum and clarity when it is me involved with the team. That's
I think that's great. I could not give it up. I could not give up. I'm in charge. This is my deal. I'm going to make the decisions, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, I think the next question is, like, where do you see some failure, right? I mean,
yes, that's my next question. The next part is, hey, we've worked really hard. We've created successes. You've created successes. You're a successful investor. You're successful at working as offering debt and equity solutions at Old Capital. You are now a syndicator. You are in your first several deals of being a syndicator. The question becomes, it isn't all good. If you've been in real estate for 30 years, there's at least one, if not 5 or 6 stories of how blank went wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And part of growing into being a mature investor in my world is that you have faced that blank has gone wrong. I'm a hard money lender. Right? I do a couple things in my portfolio. And one of the things I do in my portfolio is I lend money to people who are experts in the field, who are doing a rehab or something local. Right. I don't usually do outside of California. And one of my questions is, tell me about a deal that went wrong. How did you solve it? And how did it grow you up? Because if your answer is, I've never had a deal that went wrong, you're basically telling me you've never grown up. So the deals grow you up. So tell me about a deal that went wrong, how you solved it, and how it grew you up.
Well, I'm in a situation right now where it is not resolved, right? Okay. It's not resolved. Okay. So would love to share with you when it is resolved. It will be resolved at some point, but that really comes down to partnerships. I cannot stress enough. I told you I was not willing to find people that I could work with because I wanted to be in charge. When you find that team, and we spoke about this at Phoebe, is that you have to spend time with them. They're your partner. You're their partner. It is critical to understand, how does this person work? Do they like to work late at night? And well, I work early in the morning. They work late at night. They work on weekends. I'm not giving up my weekends. What is it that works for you? And I would tell you this. It took me 3 years to find my partner. Okay. I sought out my partner. And even so, we combined with another partnership, thought this is great. We've been on a couple deals in the past. It was not a good fit. And there's tension, there's disagreements, there's goals that are separate, that are not in line. There's expectations. And so I would tell you, do not, you might find the best partner on a 3-day weekend at a conference. Sit tight. This is the long game. You do not want to mess this up, because it may mess you up, but the ultimate person that gets messed up is the investor. Okay. You're taking their money. You have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of their money. And when you have infighting or disagreements, how's that going to look? They don't get to see it. All they are expecting is the return that you mentioned to them. And if there's this infighting and problems, really, it's the bleep that will cause a lot of problems. And ultimately, it's the investor. And here's the deal. That investor is investing in you and the deal. Now, if you go to the next deal with that investor and you're not going with the partners that you just had, they are losing credibility. You're losing credibility. Their confidence is starting to wane. So you want to be thinking about this as a long-term investment. Okay. It's not get rich quick. It's not I'm getting 1,000 units by Tuesday. This truly is the long game. Take your time, vet these people, do things personally, get the wives and husbands together, because you're going to be spending a lot of time every week together.
Yeah. And because deals can go on for 2 years, 3 years, 5
years,
syndication,
7 years,
5 years, 7 years. I mean, it is, I keep encouraging people same basic awareness. My way of encouraging people to be responsible to it is make sure you have a joint venture agreement and that you guys have worked out all the line items, because it's like getting married.
It is.
That joint venture agreement is the choice to get married. And then it's like, oh, well, we're going to do duties. Oh, yeah, we totally know the duties. I'm like, really? Who's doing what?
Set it in
Set
writing.
it in writing. Who's doing what? Who's raising capital?
Correct.
How much capital are they responsible for? Right? When it comes to actually you're getting the loan because you're the loan expert. Well, what does that mean that you're getting the loan? Are you signing on it personally? Is everybody signing on it? How are you holding title of this project? Is everybody bringing their LLC to it? Are they bringing their name to it? Right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's all these questions about how a deal is going to get structured. It's a little like saying, hey, I want to have babies. When do you want to have babies? I want to get married in the next 5 years. Do you want to get married in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
Do you want to live in California? My sister, and she's going to hate that I share this. My sister got married to a perfectly good gentleman. But here's the thing. He then one day after they went through college together, they followed each other to different universities. Like I was like, oh man, these guys are just amazing the way they constantly share back and forth. And he came home and he said, guess what? I've joined the Navy. And she's like, what?
I didn't sign up for that.
I didn't sign up to be a Navy wife. What the heck happened? And it was right for him, but ultimately she decided it wasn't right for her.
Yeah.
Right? Because it was such a core decision, right? For him to make about their lifestyle, not about their love, not about their relationship, about their lifestyle. Right? And so it's a little like, gee, I want to keep the deal for 3 to 5 years. I want to keep the deal 5 to 7 years. Oh, it's good enough. We've got 5 years between the two. It's like, no. Hold on. Is that 3 years? Or is it 7 years? What are you going to be unconsciously?
Well, and Christina, let's face it. We've got something that's an elephant on our back right now. We know something's going to change. Interest rates, inflation, what's around the corner. So this deal that you thought is going to be 3 years may take you 6 years. So that partnership could be a real pimple on your bleep.
And your bleep, yes.
But I will tell you, I get so many stories, right? I mean, I'm visiting with people all day long, phone calls, Zooms, they're clients, right? And they share with me what's going on. And so I've got a guy who has a partner, been a partner for probably 3 or 4 years. He is willing to lose $3 million to get away from this partner.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now listen, is that 3 million of your client's money, of your investors' money? Probably, because you wanted to get out of this deal. That's a problem.
I've had a couple different deals that have not worked or have been confusing. Let's call it confused for some reason or another. And I have one deal with an investor that I'm still friends with, and I don't know that he ever worked out that the deal was a loss. Because I told him it was net neutral, but it's actually a loss. I paid him out in whole, his capital, his interest. I paid him out in whole, and therefore I protected the relationship.
Yeah.
When I was doing another project and I had a partner who ended up getting overwhelmed, and I'll just call it that. She can say whatever she wants. You can ask her version of the story. My version of the story is that she got overwhelmed, right? And she ended up not being able to finish the project management duties. It was her piece of the deal, right? I had an investor in that project who was really kind of a skitty, kind of like, you're not going to lose my money type person. And she did lose money with my partner, but she didn't lose money with me. So she continues to invest with me, even though she's calling me and going, what's going on with your partner? Isn't your partner on a project we have together? Should I be worried about the project that you're doing with her? Because I'm losing money on another project with her. I'm not happy with this. That's a really
great point.
And it's like, well, I had to hold steady. I just had to keep holding, like, you're with me. Your money, I'm in charge of this project I have with her. I'm going to personally tell you that I'm going to make sure that you're going to be whole. I'm with you. I'm going to hold steady with you. And now she literally just came off a deal and said, can I come back on a deal? Like, I don't want to leave. I don't want my money not performing, Christina. Can I go from the deal you just closed out to another deal that you're doing? And it's like, I think that's a vote of confidence.
Yeah, for sure.
Hold with her, because she saw me on a bad deal and she saw the deal be a pain in the blah, blah, blah. And she saw that other deals that she was doing with one of my partners was not working. And it was just really an act of holding solid. So let me say this, if I may. So I know your story isn't done yet. I understand that, but I want to tell you what I hear in your story.
Okay, let me hear it.
Okay. What I hear in your story was, this person wasn't behaving the way you thought they were going to. You probably had a hissy fit about it somewhere with a husband or at a beach or screaming into a pillow or kicking a tree, but you probably had some hissy fit somewhere about it, but you didn't stop there. Yeah. What you said was, to make the deal right, I'm going to have to do something I didn't originally agree to.
Correct.
But I'm going to do it because the deal needs me to finish it.
Absolutely.
If I don't step into this uncomfortable space I've never done before, that I didn't know was my superpower, that I'm going to take ownership of because it's required in order to protect my investors and to protect the quality of the deal, I'm going to grow up here. After I finish my hissy fit, because we all have to have our hissy fit first, right? Then I'm going to grow up here.
Do it full board too. You got to get it out.
Get it out, right? Yeah. You don't want to like begrudgingly get in there. You want to just go, and you're like, okay, fine. The wave of emotions has finished. Now my logical mind has returned. If my logical mind has not returned, the wave of emotions are not finished. The logical mind has returned. Now I can make a commitment to do what is right, based on myself, based on my investors, based on the deal. You stepped in, you took control where control needed to happen, and you got the capital you needed to make this deal continue to move forward. You're not pulling from the deal. You're not tearing the deal apart. You're not speaking badly of all the partners every opportunity you can. You're not blasting it on Facebook or YouTube. What a pain in the blah, blah, blah. And you're saying, this is what I did. I took ownership of it. And even though it's not finished, I'm going to see it through, and I did what was necessary.
That's right.
So I'm just saying, I know your story's not over, but
no,
for itself.
It's but you know what? Here's the deal.
Okay, tell me.
At the end of the day, I learned a ton. So whether it's you consider it a mistake or you consider it a learning opportunity, I learned a ton. Nobody, nobody I couldn't have read that in a book. Somebody couldn't have told me that. Yeah, people will tell you, and I will now completely agree, you should not have more than 3 or 4 people on your team. Ideally, it would be 2 or 3.
Make it concise, know what it is, and have the clarity.
You do not want all these people on your team. Nobody can make a decision. Nobody gets along. Make it easy.
Right.
Yeah. That you can, people will tell you, and your lender is going to say, why do you have all these people? You don't want all those people.
Right. You don't want to have to split capital between all those people. You don't want to have all those people weighing the project down, the decision cycle. Yep. Go ahead. I'm with you.
I now agree with that. And I have, again, I've got the experience
right.
of, that I can speak to.
You have an actual lesson. You have an actual lesson to the experience that you can speak to of being able to say, yes, now I know why. So I was just talking with a guy, and then we'll bring it to a close. I was just talking to a guy today who's been pounding the freaking pavement to try to pull together a deal in Tucson to get a change of use on a motel that he wanted to change to rentals.
Yeah.
Right? Any version of rentals. He had a particular plan that had to do with VA and blah, blah, blah. Right. And we just had a phone call today about, I have literally called the city. I called the fire department. I've talked to lawyers. I've walked all around this every way I can inside that city. And the answer is no. And he's like, Christina, do I let it go? And I go, yeah, let it go happily. Let it go gratefully, right? Like, be done with the deal because you showed up 100% every step of the way. You did what was required to find out if the deal could work. You still have 10 days left before you go hard, right? And it's like, there's no reason to wait. And he's like, this is like breaking up a relationship. And I went, yeah, it is. You're breaking up a relationship with
it's a dream.
In your head.
It's a dream. The dream didn't come together.
The dream didn't come together.
It's disappointing, but you know what? Sometimes the best deal is the one that you walked away from.
And in this case, I'd have to agree with him. So did he fail or did he win? Because in my mind, he won because he made a sound decision.
Right? Only he can decide that, right? I mean,
yes, only he can decide it. And that was him, because it was like, well, I could rent it as a hotel. And he's like, I talked to my wife and we talked about, we could rent it as an actual motel because that's its current use. I don't want to do it. And I'm great. Then don't go
into the military. If that wasn't good, don't bring your wife along who doesn't want to do that.
Who doesn't want to do that? So, I mean, if nothing else, like the theme of this show, if I may, really has to do with you choosing your personal integrity as being one of the most important traits of your success in real estate. Because if you don't choose your personal integrity, it does fall apart. Even if it doesn't fall apart in the first deal, it falls apart. I've seen it. I've literally seen it where people don't choose their personal integrity. I've seen it again and again and again, where I have a client who has a portfolio that has 5 deals stuck with this one person, right? It has 16 deals stuck with this one person. It's like, oh, well, the first 5 went great, but now it's like, oh, these are stuck. And I'm like, yeah, because right. Therefore, I'd pay $3 million to not be in a relationship with this partner anymore, because I cannot stand what's happening, because it's not, the personal integrity is driving the deal to being unsuccessful, to being a failure.
Good point.
So I'm a great believer of that message. As you can tell, I drive it home as often as I can, right? And the working hard and the personal integrity is the thing that in your network you need to count on, expect, rely on, and provide and offer and stand in. Personal opinion.
It's a good point.
Yeah. Julie, if people want to get a hold of you, because they either want to be involved in your syndication and listen to one of your capital raising teas, right? Or they want to be able to get a hold of Old Capital and use you because you have this deep knowledge of lending as well as investing. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm on all social media. So you got LinkedIn, you got Facebook, I'm on Instagram, Julie Anne Peterson. You can call me at 630-453-7150. Email.
Say it again. 630-453-7150.
7150. Got the pen.
Got the
Right.
pen. Get it right. Write it down. Exactly. Go ahead.
Email J Peterson. That's SON Peterson at oldcapitallending.com. J Peterson at oldcapitallending.com.
Julia,
Love to help you.
I just adore you. I do. I know we don't know each other well, but it was so great to have this synergy right next to me. Of somebody who both has the depth of experience and the desire to make the world better.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's my sis. She's like my
well,
sis.
I just was so, when I walked away from the Phoebe meeting, I was like, I got a new friend. And it's not often that we find that immediate connection. And I felt that with you. So I'm grateful.
Me too.
And I'm hoping that we can continue to grow our connection.
A connection, right? Maybe we can actually do a deal somewhere, some way, someplace along the line.
Wouldn't that be great?
It'll show up. It'll show up. This is Christina Suter on Real Estate Breakthrough. Thank you so much for listening. We are on iHeartRadio, Spotify, and iTunes. You can find our podcast there, or you can find the video of this on ChristinaSuter.com, YouTube, or you can find it on Roku TV. And soon we're hoping we're going to be on Amazon Fire as well. So get your education. Guys, you have years worth of my shows, years worth of Phoebe meetings available to you for free. So do not give me any excuses that you cannot get yourself educated when I am pushing out all this free content for you, as is many other integrous professionals in the real estate field. ChristinaSuter.com.